Hello, I'm Sandra Janik, and welcome to this Sunlight Sunspot. Imagine just for a moment that you're a young parent. You've just moved your family to a small, beautiful town. You've got school-aged children, and you're curious about the school system. So you do pretty much what any young parent would do. You go to social media. Well, Suffield, that's exactly what happened to us recently. On April 29th, a young parent went on Facebook and asked this specific question: is anyone willing to honestly tell me how accepting Suffield schools are? Are they diverse? Are they good with 504s and IEPs? Looking for the good, bad, and the ugly, honest truth. That was the question. Now, what would you expect, Suffield? I have to tell you, 70 plus responses were received in that approximate 2-week period from April 29th until today, earlier today. I didn't expect them to be quite as open as they were. Let's take a look at some of these comments. Let's start with the 504s and the IEPs first. Here's a brief sample, and I do mean a very brief sample, of the comments regarding the IEPs and the 504s. The responses were largely very positive. People were comparing the Suffield school system in a very positive light to other school systems in the area. They spoke of excellent support and communication. They cited improvements in their children's performance. There were a few negative comments, and they spoke mostly of their IEP experience. And specifically, there was one that was, I had an IEP back when I was in high school, and it was the worst experience ever. It sounded like most of the negative comments did indeed appear to be made about IEPs or 504s in the past. It appeared from the comments that the vast majority of people with 504s and IEPs who responded, at least to this question, responded in a positive light. And I would say that is definitely a plus side of the ledger for our school system. Now let's move on a little bit and look at some of the comments regarding diversity and acceptance in the public school system. And I'm afraid that the responses we received did not give such positive reviews, not only of the school system, but the town as well. In fact, the comments were overwhelmingly negative. They called Suffield racist, homophobic, not only back in the day, but currently. They spoke of attempts by the first selectman to ban books, and the clearly discriminatory policy that the Kent Memorial Library is considering currently, a policy aimed directly at excluding and censoring LGBT plus materials. Let's take a look at some of these comments. We are an LGBT plus family and not great in town. Spalding has been great and accepting, but there is a rainbow population here, and we are fighting red hats, as much of the country is. Connecticut is still a liberal state, which is helpful, despite the recent and local rhetoric. Suffield is not accepting or diverse. Oh, and they ban books, so there's that. Not very diverse at all, and as a former high school student, the population can be very racist and homophobic. I would recommend for a child, if they need an IEP, etc., I would look elsewhere if you're looking for diversity. Not very diverse. I used to work there, and the English as a second language teacher position was cut during COVID. The program had about 50 students spread across the district, including many newcomers. The special ed program is great, though. Not a lot of turnovers from year to year. Then there was this one. This is just part of the comment. How diverse? LOL. Suffield is not diverse racially or even if you're LGBT. I mean, special ed kids will be fine because even when I was in Suffield High School, you never busted on the special ed kids. But it is just the opposite of diverse. Not saying that's bad, it's just what it is. I grew up in Suffield and have a black wife and 2 mixed-race kids. We definitely chose not to buy our home in Suffield because we didn't want our kids growing up with ignorance that existed in Suffield when I grew up, and clearly reading Suffield forums still exists to this day. Sadly, it was one scroll through the comments on this page that we felt Suffield was not the best place for us. We are next door in East Granby, though. There is no diversity in Suffield. Racism an underlying issue. I worked as a special ed teacher for a couple of weeks and gave my notice the day I left for a myriad of reasons. Diverse is not a word I would use to describe the Suffield schools. And again, there were other comments that were very much aimed just as much at the town as the school. So, where are we? The selectmen is trying to ban books. There's a discriminatory policy. Last night at the Kent Memorial Library regular meeting, there was a letter from the chair read. The chairperson was not there, but she had left a letter to be read. In that letter, the chair indicated that they had heard the outcry from the public regarding the policy that they were trying to pass, and that they were withdrawing the policy for consideration at this time. Make no mistake, this is not a full withdrawal. This is a temporary victory at best. I'm going to take it as a victory, but it's a temporary victory. Let's face it, it's a political move. Our first selectman would much rather the dust settle around the library issues before we get to the election. As many of you know, there's a great deal of controversy in the town over the library and the issues that it represents, or the issues that are represented there. And we are very divided on it. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? Based on this post, here's what I would say to that poor brave soul that asked that question about how diverse are we? How are we with IEPs and 504s? What are we? How are we? This is what I would say. Welcome to Suffield. We have a great school system, and if your child needs an IEP or a 504, I think you're going to be fine. I think we've learned how to manage them, how to develop and manage them, and I think your child's going to be fine. I think we've made a lot of progress in the past. But if you're looking for diversity, true diversity and acceptance, I'm sorry, I'm afraid you might have come to the wrong town. Our Board of Selectmen would have you believe that we're a red town, but we're not. We're a purple town. And as you can see in some of these posts, there's a lot more people out here making it purple than you think. We have a lot of silos in Suffield, where people are sitting alone, not knowing that they have others in common with them that are struggling as well. We are a purple town, but we are a purple town who is struggling mightily to shake the preconceptions, the biases, and the racisms, and to move fully into today's world. That's where Sunlight on Suffield comes in. Our mission is to keep residents informed of what's going on in our town, and also to help lead the fight to make our community truly welcoming, truly accepting of everyone, and truly embracing of diversity. Thank you. Please join us in the future for other full Sunlight on Suffield episodes and for future Sunlight Sunspots. Good night.